Hello and welcome to the Wine Enthusiast podcast, your serving of drinks culture and the people who drive it. I'm Ryan Grimm, the magazine director here at Wine Enthusiast. We have a very special episode today because I'm talking with two people who made our 2025 Future 40 list. Every year, Wine Enthusiast celebrates a group of emerging, innovative talents in the drinks industry with a big feature in our October issue, which is coming out soon. So joining me today are Justine Osilla from Cabayan Wines in Sonoma County and Luke Anderson from Tiger Mountain Vineyards in Tiger, Georgia. Now, when you think of someone who runs a winery, you don't often imagine a person who's in their mid-20s or early 30s. So these two winemakers are really breaking the mold. I was looking forward to chatting with both of them about getting their start in wine, the future of the industry, and what challenges they think lay ahead. Justine, Luke, thank you so much for being here, and congratulations on making Wine Enthusiast Future 40 list. Justine, how did you feel when you first heard the news?
Honestly, I was really touched to have people recognize what I'm doing with Cabayan Wines. It's definitely been a dream of mine and a goal to be on this list because I've seen so many amazing winemakers that I look up to on it as well.
And Luke?
Yeah, I was a bit in shock, and I was hopeful to be on the list, but I didn't expect it. I kept my expectations low as to potentially disappoint myself, but so I was a little bit surprised and super excited and very honored.
Yeah. So yeah, you're both on the younger end of people on the list. Are you thinking of a younger audience when you're making your wines?
Both yes and no. When I'm making my wines, I'm thinking of my whole culture, trying to bring people to drink more wine, and what better way to introduce Filipino people to wine than to like pair with our own food.
I've seen a fair amount of news reports about younger generations, not drinking as much and the industry sort of reacting to that. Have you noticed that? Or are you worried about the future of American wines and spirits?
I am actually not worried. I had this conversation with somebody just the other day, and I feel like younger generations who may not be drinking as much now, eventually they will have kids and families, and they'll eventually want to drink.
And Luke?
I think one, when I'm making wine, I try to make a wine that everyone will like, and that is or certain styles that will fit into somebody's preference. And in general, I think wine is kind of has some barriers of entry to it, and most people typically don't start really getting into wine until they're into maybe their 30s or so, and people don't also have the budget when they're college age. And like I'm like late Gen Z, and so my generation is still kind of coming up, and so I'm not worried about it at all. It'll come with time.
Yeah. Justine, I read in an interview that when you first tried wine, you didn't even like it. I would imagine that's changed by now. What was sort of your evolution with wine?
Ooh, that's a great question. So it was actually my parents who introduced me to wine when we moved here to California from New Jersey. They started getting into it, and they were the ones who let me try wine at home when I was 16. And yeah, you're right. I did not like wine, but I love the smell of it. So it made me intrigued, like, oh, why does it smell so good but taste like that? Um, the evolution was me starting off with, of course, sweeter wines and then white wines and rosés and moved on to reds, and Paso was where I fell in love with red wines.
And Luke, what was your kind of early sort of evolution of falling in love with wine?
So I started in the industry kind of when COVID happened, and I was in college at the time, and so I decided to just get a job and start working to provide for myself. And I happened to start working at a winery, and through kind of striving for a promotion, I was like, "Oh, this is super interesting and unique and cool." And there's chemistry, biology, and then of course your service and hospitality aspect and everything. And I fell in love with, yeah, the aroma, the flavor. It was really like the first alcoholic beverage I enjoyed to drink, and because of the taste and not just aiming for the effect.
Yeah, and when you were so young, taking over a winery, were other people either skeptical of your abilities as someone who's so young, or were you ever yourself kind of unsure of yourself taking over an existing operation?
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely people who didn't think I could hack it, for sure. And occasionally you kind of get that imposter syndrome, like, oh man, I don't know if I'm cut out for this, or maybe I don't have it like that. But then I taste my product and I'm like, oh wow, I'm pretty good. You know,
Yeah. Is there anything that you did early on that maybe you wouldn't do again?
that's a great question. I think maybe doing a little too many side projects or experiments and that sort of thing, just because it can detract your focus from what's most important. But I would still probably do those side projects again because it helped me grow as a winemaker, and then they were fun to do.
Yeah. How about you, Justine?
For me, well, I do not own like a whole operation yet, just my label. I'm actually currently the enologist for brick and mortar wines where I'm moving my production as well. Um, I honestly would not change anything that I've done. I feel like I've had some really amazing mentors along the way that have helped me and guide me through this process of starting my own wine brand. And of course, there have been mistakes that have been made. And, it's all part of the process of learning and growing and becoming a better winemaker and business person, too. So,
Yeah. A big part of your brand's mission is pairing wine with Filipino food. What makes a wine pair well with Filipino dishes?
yes. So, typically Filipino palate like sweeter wines. I mean, they don't really drink wines in general. They love gin, they love light beer. If they are caught drinking wine, it's probably honestly Stella Rosa. So I wanted to change that and have them drink drier style wines. And I do that by, I guess, just the style of my winemaking is very fruit forward. I don't incorporate any new oak. My wines are picked a little earlier, so it has that bright acid. And I do incorporate a little bit of like carbonic in each of my lots, so it does have like a stronger aromatic profile.
Got you. And on your website, I saw two different bottlings right now. Are you expanding in the near future, or seeking with those two?
So I am still experimenting. My first vintage I made a Movedra coming out of Contra Costa County. Second, I expanded and I ended up making a Sauvignon Blanc, a red blend, and also a Cabernet Sauvignon coming out of Moon Mountain District. I'm about to release two other wines, my Pinot Noir from Ricci Vineyards in Carneros, as well as my Carbonic Carignan from Mendocino County. I am producing even more Sauvignon Blanc this year because that's been my bestseller. And since my facility that I work at specializes in sparkling wines, I'm playing around with a little pet nat as well.
And Luke, same question, but also I'm wondering how you balance what you may want to do with what is viable from like a business point of view.
That's what I've created a pet nat as well, along with full carbonic maceration of Norton, which is an American variety. You never want to make the decision of what you're going to do with it before the fruit is in your hands. You may have goals or wants or desires, but if the fruit won't allow a specific style because of a lack of quality or a chemistry difference in what your goal was, then you have to take what you have and make the best with it. So, for example, carbonic maceration requires whole berries. And one year I really wanted to do another one, but the fruit wasn't very. It was there. We had some insect damage, and the fruit just wasn't of very high quality for that style of wine. So I had to pivot my direction. And you don't want to shoehorn yourself into producing a style where the fruit doesn't really agree with it.
Yeah. I would imagine there's also limitations, but also advantages from being in Georgia. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, it's very different. We're actually, we're in the Appalachian Mountains, so we're in a temperate rainforest. So we get 50 to 80 inches of rain during our growing season. And so we have to spray our vineyard a lot more than they typically do out west. And also, we tend to pick our fruit a little bit earlier before things like bunch rot or botrytis set in. I also manage the vineyard, so the vineyard aspect is challenging. And the fruit we produce, mentioned how she picks a little earlier for higher acidity. We kind of naturally get higher acidity because we're picking earlier than, the West Coast is almost every year, but we get a lot of vigor in our vines, and it still does get very hot here as well, but our elevation allows for those cool nights to retain acidity, and it's a very different style of winemaking than the West Coast. We do more chaptalization than amelioration, for example, but it's fun, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
If people hadn't had wines from Georgia before, what would be your kind of pitch to them? Like, why should they try it?
Most Georgia wines have the connotation of being sweet because of like muscadines and scuppernons that are grown in South Georgia. But here up in the mountains, particularly here at my vineyard, we produced almost entirely dry wine. We have won awards at multiple California prestigious wine competitions like Los Angeles International, for example, and we can give you the Napa experience here in Georgia.
And Justine, talk about where you're sourcing your fruit from these days.
Yes, so I'm sourcing my fruit all over Northern California. I get fruit from Lake County, Contra Costa County, Carneros, Sonoma County, and Mendocino. I contract with all these different growers, and typically around when veraison starts happening is when I go out to go visit, taste the fruit, check for bricks and pH. And typically, when you're small, you don't really have a whole lot of say of when you get to pick the fruit. But I get to piggyback off somebody else who's picking their fruit earlier around the same bricks where I'm trying to target. They just bring it to the facility, and once it gets to the facility, it's my hands on the fruit. So
Yeah. What would you say if someone was just starting out in the industry and they wanted some advice? Justine, you go first.
I would say try a lot of different aspects of the business. I mean, whether you're trying to go into marketing or winemaking, kind of figure out what your strengths are and put yourself in a place to get more experience and go from there.
And Luke?
For winemaking specifically, I would a big thing is patience and to never rush, because when you rush, that's typically when you make mistakes. For the rest of the business, I would say enjoy it as well as learning and working at it. It's very fun and unique, and yeah, there's thousands of different avenues you can take in this industry, and like she said, you got to find what niche fits you the best.
Yeah. I'd also wonder, in 5, 10 years, what challenges? I mean, there's climate change, obviously. Tariffs can affect domestic producers as well as importers. What are the biggest challenges for you?
I'd have to tariffs have been a big thing this year. Raised prices on the vast majority of what we order. Climate change is concerning. 2 years ago, I planted a test block of over 32 different varieties to see how they grow and develop, and so that's kind of my safety net for climate change, and to see what will work best on our property for the years to come.
And which ones were most successful?
Well, the project is still ongoing, but some of them have been Chamberson, Arundel, and Dillard Blanc.
Gotcha. And Justine, what about you? What about some challenges you foresee in the future?
I think it may be more so real estate in this area. My goal is to have my own facility up here in Sonoma County, but with the state of the economy, with me slowly growing, it's proving to be more difficult finding some affordable real estate. In terms of climate, this area is known for Pinot Noir, but as you may well know, it is getting hot, and so yeah, we'll have to see what that means for Pinot Noir out here.
In addition to producing world-class content, did you know that Wine Enthusiast is also the premier shopping destination for wine lifestyle products? Just visit our shop at wineenthusiast.com, where you'll discover an amazing assortment of unique quality items guaranteed to enhance your wine experience. From glassware and accessories to thousands of unique wine gifts, it's like a toy store for wine lovers. And don't forget about protecting your wine. We are the nation's leading retailer of wine storage products. Whether you have 6 or 600 bottles, desire a wine cabinet or a custom-designed drying room, our free wine storage consultations will help you find the perfect wine fit for your collection. Visit wineenthusiast.com today. We bring wine to life. Brought to you by the Wine Enthusiast Shop.
What would you say to someone, Justine, who had never tried your wines before and maybe you were familiar with some more traditional, California wines, but we're curious about yours. What would you tell them about them?
I would say my wines are not your typical hot, kind of big bowl kind of California wines. I mentioned earlier, I make red blend, I make cab, and even my cab is not your typical California cab. All my stuff is low ABV. Probably the highest is my cab at 13.5 alcohol. And because I don't add in all that oak, it's not, my wines are not heavily extracted and it's on the lighter style, I feel like that kind of lighter style, fruit forward is what everybody's trying to drink nowadays.
Yeah, so we mentioned earlier that, some drinking habits, according to the news reports anyway, are changing amongst younger people. What should the wine industry do at large in order to, interest younger drinkers?
That's a good question. I feel like, especially because I do have a little bit of the background in marketing. While I was in college, I had my little stint as a content creator showing the masses about my journey in winemaking. And I think it's just like making it more fun for people to drink. And a really big thing is making wine education more accessible and trying to challenge people to bring wine into their spaces and have fun with it.
Yeah, Luke, what about you?
I think the fun aspect is a big part of it, and I think you can kind of get that with like the unique styles, some that we mentioned earlier, like Petit Jean Naturel and carbonic maceration. Those are unique and eye catching and different, and that those kind of more trendy styles that aren't just your regular still dry wine, kind of catch the eye of the younger generation more. And that's actually two of the styles I've heard from younger drinkers that enjoy those and are saying they're all the rage nowadays.
Yeah. Well, what are your favorite wines to drink other than the stuff you're making?
I love sparkling wine. It's like I wish I could be out in Sonoma right now. Um,
You gotta come visit.
in the in the Carneros area and spend more time out there. So I love sparkling wines, specifically champagnes. I love, yeasty, complex, multi-vintage sparklings. That's my favorite thing to drink.
I'm gonna also second that, Luke. Sparkling is number one for me, and second is Rieslings. All kinds of Rieslings, all different sweetness levels, and probably older older Rieslings is also my favorite.
I also love Riesling. I feel like Riesling can be fairly misunderstood. What's the most kind of misunderstood wine, do you think? And people have a lot of misconceptions about.
Ooh, that's a great question. I'm gonna say sherry.
Oh,
I think sherry is super misunderstood and underrated. I feel like a lot of people put sherry more so on a spirits list when it is a very food-driven wine.
You know what? I think that wraps it up. Thank you so much for being here. And I didn't mention this earlier, but you guys are both on the cover of the issue too that has the Future 40 feature in it.
You're
So how do you like that?
kidding me.
You're
What?
kidding.
You're kidding me.
No way.
You're
We,
so
we did
kidding
we
me
did
right now.
we did illustrations. Yeah.
It's
What?
crazy.
What? Oh my god.
I'm shocked.
Me too.
I'm
Holy
shocked.
cow.
Yeah.
That's a dream come true right
Yes.
there.
Yes, same. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Well, thank you so much for doing this. And I think we got all we need.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ryan, for having us. Such a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's been
thank you so much.
Well, it seems like they're happy about being on the cover. That was a fun one. You can email comments and questions to podcast@wineenthusiast.com. And remember, you can subscribe to this podcast on Apple, Spotify, and anywhere else you listen to your favorite shows. Go to wineenthusiast.com/podcast for more episodes and transcripts. I'm Ryan Grimm. Thanks for listening.